Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the latest studio album from Avatarium entitled Between You, God, the Devil, and, pause for dramatic effect, the Dead. But first, a very quick and special announcement. I'm bored. Not of you or of this, just like in general. I find myself with a lot of free time here at Metal Meltdown HQ as of late. So in order to alleviate this boredom, I've decided I'm going to do a live stream here on the Metal Meltdown, Wednesday, January 29th. We're going to play Death Stranding Director's Cut for Xbox. It launched a couple of months ago. I've been playing it nonstop ever since. I love it. Join me. We'll play it together. We'll explore a creepy dystopian world together and drink beer and laugh and sing songs and share silly, edgy, perhaps inappropriate jokes and such and all that fun goobly-goggledy-gook that comes with being at a Metal Meltdown live stream. Y'all know the drill. You should know the drill by now. If you don't, all the more reason to tune in. See what it's all about. Alright, now that we've got that out of the way, let's officially start talking about this brand new full-length studio album from Swedish heavy metal, doom metal crew Avatarium, their sixth full-length studio album overall, a side project of Candlemas's Leif Edling, I think that's his name. I've probably fucked it up. I've probably fucked it up. I've actually been aware of this band for quite some time. Like, I remember when they dropped their self-titled back in 2013. I remember when they dropped The Girl with the Raven Mask, I think it was called, in 2015. Really enjoyed both of those records. Really cool, shadowy, atmospheric, kind of like classic Candlemas-style doom metal, but with a few more progressive twists and turns. Now, I have to admit, I haven't listened to as much of their stuff in the following years, but that's my fault and not theirs. Like, the little tidbits, the little bits and pieces, and the little nuggets of music that I've heard along the way from them have been consistently pretty good. Pretty tasty, crispy little golden, doomy little nuggets. I'm fairly certain we talked about Death Where's Your Sting in an Albums I Missed video sometime in 2022. I'm fairly certain of it. That sounds right. That feels right. Note to self, listen to more Avatarium after this. Look, the point is, I know of Avatarium to the point where I know kind of what to expect of an Avatarium record, but I'm not intimately familiar with them. And I think because of these two simultaneous facts, I was thrown off guard a little bit by this new album. It's a lot more like retro, classic rock, psych, occult rock kind of vibey than I expected. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still got more than enough oppressive and evil and ominous tones and riffs and vibes and, morbid, poetic, lyrical sprawls and vocal acrobatics to qualify still as a doom metal record. But also, it's not as slow-paced as your typical doom metal record, nor is it as epic in tone and feel as your typical doom metal record. It has plenty of bluesy, soulful, expressive guitar licks and riffs and harmonies and solos all the way through. And it has a lot of energy, and it's playful, and it has tambourines and organs and choral vocals. 1 minute it kind of reminds me of Jefferson Airplane. The next it kind of reminds me of Deep Purple. The next it kind of reminds me of Black Sabbath, both Ozzy-era Black Sabbath and Dio-era Black Sabbath. And I mean, speaking of Dio, I really felt like Jenny Ann Smith was channeling Dio a lot through this record vocally, in terms of like her vocal dynamics and acrobatics, and just in the overall strength and power and soul and size of her voice. Emboldened too by these choral vocals and combined with these like bluesy, soulful tones and like some of these like kind of like rustic guitar bits here and there and these heavy oppressive energies, it almost kind of felt like, you remember when Dio, Tony Iommi, and Geezer Butler, they did like the Heaven and Hell band, and they did that album, The Devil You Know? Like, that album, like that era of like Black Sabbath, I guess, but like if they went to a church down south, It's by no means what I expected or even really what I wanted, and for the record, what I expected and wanted was something closer to like a proggy twist on classic Candlemas, because that's kind of what this was billed as when they first came out. But what I got instead, it's It's hard to argue with it, because it's legit pretty solid. You've got the opening number, Long Black Waves, which upon a foundation of, like, drudging classic doom metal riffs and poundings, has Jenny Ann Smith's lead vocals and gang choral vocals and some soulful licks and organ pieces kind of working in unison, kind of working in harmony in tandem to create something rich and big and consuming and expansive. Love the versatility in Jenny's voice right off the bat. Like, one moment you have this, like, aching kind of like yearn in her voice in the verses and in these slower, quieter sections, and then in the chorus, she just really fucking belts it out. Then there's the following number, I See You Better in the Dark, which tones down the heaviest, darkest, and most metal aspects of the Avatarium sound and opts for a more playful, kind of like classic retro rock kind of vibe and feel. Very soulful 1970s Dio-esque vocals and tambourines and gang choral vocals and jammy instrumentation taking the forefront here. It weirdly reminds me of like Rainbow to an extent, also like the aforementioned Jefferson Airplane, also a little bit of Janis Joplin, honestly. Being with the Dead is cool as well. I like how it layers these more meditative, hypnotic, psychedelic melodies and vocals and acoustic guitars kind of overtop some classic vintage doom metal. Notes from Underground is cool too. This is where we kind of get back to some more prog-influenced doom metal. This whole thing kind of feels like late 2000s, early 2010s Opeth kind of trying their hands at a classic Black Sabbath, Candlemass style dark doomy jam. And I'm really enjoying Lovers Give a Kingdom to Each Other as well. Love the really rustic acoustic guitar here. Love how moody and mournful and dark and romantic it is. Unfortunately, other tracks on the record, even if I like some of the ideas being presented, just aren't as well executed. Like, I like the premise and the concept of My Hair Is on Fire, But I'll Take Your Hand, balancing like mournful, piano-driven, almost kind of like gothic balladry with towering, oppressive doom and like this more heavy, extreme kind of percussion kind of riding underneath it. That's a cool idea, but execution, kind of lacking. The contrast struck between these more quiet, solemn, minimalistic moments and these more extreme and explosive moments is just a bit too much for my personal liking. I also think that some of the more doom metal-centric moments on the record would benefit from being just a little bit slower, you know? Giving you a little bit more time to kind of like absorb everything and process everything, and a little bit more time to allow these soulful riffs to really sizzle. And honestly, even though the combination of like doom metal and classic vintage rock stuff is itself pretty cool, I do think that the individual components of these genres and of these sounds displayed here on this album would benefit from being a little bit more like spicy, you know? Like, I do think at times this record is unintentionally sounding and feeling a little derivative of a lot of the bands that we've talked about and referenced all throughout this video. So maybe it's not perfect and maybe it's not what I expected or wanted as mentioned before, but I still had fun, I still enjoyed myself, and I think I still would recommend this to somebody looking for something a little bit more upbeat, I suppose, in a sense. I mean, in comparison to, like, I don't know, some crazy underground death or black metal that's probably going around right now. I'm feeling a very enthusiastic 3 out of 5, honestly leaning towards a 3.5 out of 5, like we're kind of right there on the cusp. I think it's a pretty strong record. I think there's a lot of good, decent, high-quality stuff on here. If you love classic rock, and if you love doom metal, and if you're looking for something that brings these things together, check this out. Why not? If you're looking for a decent gateway into either genre, this could be nice as well. I mean, I would unironically still just say go listen to Black Sabbath, but hey, screw it. Whatever, this works too. Curious to see where Avatarium go from here. I'm actually kind of interested to re-listen to their older albums as well. Once again, a very enthusiastic 3 to 5, decent record. Check it out. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown immediately. Tune into the live stream, January 29th, blah, blah, blah. More videos, and as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.